Toledot, or generations or descendant. The parasha talks about the Toledot of Isaac. Okay, as the parasha started, this is the story of Isaac, son of Abraham. But there are other Toledots, there are other generations that up to this point they have been passed, like the Toledot of Adam in Bereshit 5:1 to 6:8, Toledot for Noah 6:9 to 9:29, Toledot for Shem, Ham, and Japhet 10:1 to 11:9. The Toledot for Shem, we found that in 11:10:26. Toledot of Terah 11:27 to the 25:11. Toledot of Ishmael 25:12 to the 18. Toledot of Isaac, which is now 25:19 to the 35:29. The Toledot of Esau 36:1 to the 37:1, and the last one is Toledot of Jacob 37:1 to the 50:26. In today's parasha, we talk about generations that Isaac's generation. Okay, and even though that half of it is devoted to his life, but the other half we concentrate more on the brothers, his children, Esau and Jacob. As a little pause, every time I'm gonna do a study, I always ask God, I always ask Adonai, okay, what is the main purpose of this parasha? But in order to find the main purpose, I have to find what is the need that we all have. Because a parasha is not just a study that we read all about it and we try to define the inner more or the what secret does it have. We have to find what purpose does it have for our life. So my question is always to Adonai Elohim is, okay, what need do we have? When we used to meet together, all of the synagogue, it was easy to define by ourselves because we talk, we see how everybody behaves, we see how everybody problems, and we talk here and there. And somehow we get to find out by our own what are the needs of the people. But in this case, during the pandemic, because we are separated, we rely more the way that we are supposed to rely on Adonai Elohim to teach us, to tell us. And every time that I will do something, a study, I will try to do it according to what God puts it in my heart. I was talking to Mauricio Quintero during the week, and he said, this parasha is so rich, you can find many different things to talk about. You will say about, and he gave me many ideas, and I was like, yes, it's true, but at the same time, it's not what I wanted to go. I wanted to go more like where our needs are. What do we get out of it? Usually at the beginning, I tell people, okay, look, don't take everything for what I said. Go to Torah, see what Torah says, look what I said, align it together, and take what Torah or what God is teaching you. Don't take everything for what I said because I might mislead you. I'm gonna mislead you on what I said. So the struggle that I had with this parasha was that even though there were so many things to learn out of it, I wanted to concentrate on one little thing, something that it will leave us at the end with an answer to our needs. Usually before I used to tell people, okay, we have these three things within us, which is the body, the spirit, and the soul. So we have to find a way to let God talk to us. At the very end, we'll see why. Okay. From my point of view, Toledot should be about the promise. And that's why all this introduction comes in. Even though there are many things that we can take, midah por midah. That's what the Mauricio says. Okay, um, remember that Isaac does one thing and it repeats itself in Jacob later on. But when it comes to the promise, this promise was given to Abraham ahead of time. So Hashem gave a promise to Adam for humanity, for the whole humanity, right? And then after that, he gave it to Noah. But for Noah, it was more like inclined more into the family. But when it comes to Abraham, the promise was more concise, more individual, more to the to a family. Obviously, it did not work with Adam. It did not work with Noah, but in a way, it did work. God wanted to go more like one family, and that blessing started with Abraham, and that blessing that Adonai gave to Abraham was supposed to be extended to Isaac. So when Isaac married Rebekah, remember there was a period of time, more or less about 20 years, and Rebekah was not having no child, no children. So an idea just came in. I received a letter from Peggy this week about a person that wanted to know something about Sarah. And she mentioned something that it says, during those times, men usually do not talk to their wife because it was not of that period. I don't know if I misunderstood that. But in a sense, it goes opposite of what I see today in this parasha. Because obviously, when Rebecca comes into Isaac area, she didn't know nothing about the promise. But as we see it later on, she knew about the promise. So before she got to be with a child or with children, I was twins, Isaac goes to God and said, look, my wife is not having any children. What's going on? So what's going to happen with the promise? What happened to the promise that you said that you gave to Abraham that we were going to be numerous? So God blessed Rebecca and gave them 2 children. So obviously something's going on in her belly, a struggle that already started from the very beginning. So Rebecca goes and inquires, and God says to her, look, there are 2 nations in it. You have 2 nations, but the oldest is going to serve the youngest. I don't know if because in our family was the same thing. The firstborn usually the one that has control over everything, and everything's about that child. And then the youngest, it becomes like a submissive to the oldest. But Adonai Elohim is telling him, no, it's going to be the opposite. But Rebecca knows something that Isaac has told him about the promise. There's going to be a blessing. And there is something about Isaac. He favored his first child. He is his number one. He's Papa Boys. But then Rebecca favors the youngest one, which is a mama boy. And you have 2 different characters here. You get Isaac and Rebecca. Rebecca is a housewife. So she stays more home. And Jacob becomes, in a way, like her, like more like homey, more like Pacific, they call it. So she have a big inclination over him. Obviously, that Jacob been trained by Rebecca, and Esau is trained by Jacob. But that makes a struggle between brothers because they're not getting along. So obviously there is something going on here. I want to go to Bereshit 25:23. because it goes with the teaching. It said, she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord answered her, two nations are in your womb, two separate people shall issue from your body. One shall be mightier than the other, and the other shall serve the younger. So we know that Adonai Elohim knows everything, and he knows ahead of time. So he knows the promise that he had given Abraham, and he passed it along to Isaac, and now it's going to rest in between those two children, right? So in a way, he knew that Jacob was going to be the carrier of that promise that he was giving to them. But Isaac knew something, but maybe he did not convert all that message to Rebecca, and it seems as if Jacob and Isaac is aiming more at Esau to be the carrier of the promise, because he has more like my favor, but Rebecca is aiming more like Jacob is the carrier of the promise. So you may have not a very happy family, a happy home. There's gotta be something going on between both families. So in a way, let me read it here because I'm getting lost. Each one received the name according to, so he knew Jacob was going to be the carrier of the promise. That's what I'm talking about Rebecca. Remember, when childs are born during those times, they are given their name according to a situation or to when they are the first one. Like each one received the name according to what they saw at the moment describing them, but in the way defining who they were. But eventually the Lord changes their name. Like Abram was changed to Abraham. Jacob will become Israel. So God is changing their name according to a better purpose, a better knowledge that God sees. Now, did the Lord knew Rebecca was going to conspire to trick her husband? Did he knew that she was going to be trying to figure out to take for Jacob to receive her favor, child, to receive the blessing? Remember, Jacob is Isaac is not telling everything to Rebecca, as we see it at the end. See, she knew Esau was going to serve Jacob because of the promise that God told her when she went to talk to her, right? Went to talk to him. So in a way, she's saying, okay, Isaac think Esau's going to be the one going to be receiving the promise, the carrier of the promise. But the Lord already told me it's going to be Jacob, because he said that the oldest is going to serve the youngest. The youngest, yeah. So why did she need to intervene when Isaac told Esau that go get me something to eat and I will bless you? Why did she need to do that? If she already knew, right? Maybe she's seeing something that Isaac was not looking at it. So let's go to Bereshit 27, 4-7. 27, this is 27, this is 26, 27. Here we go. Okay, then prepare a dish for me, such a like, and bring it to me to eat. Then I will give you my innermost blessing before I die. That's what Isaac is telling Esau. He's gonna give him his innermost blessing. So Rebecca was listening. Rebecca had been listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau had gone out into the open to hunt game to bring home, Rebecca said to her son Jacob, I overheard your father speaking to your brother Esau, saying, Bring me some game and prepare a dish for me to eat, that I might bless you with the Lord's approval before I die. So now she's mistaken. Okay, wait a minute. Why is Isaac gonna give Esau the blessing when Jacob is supposed to be the bearer of the blessing? He's the one that has to be carried on. See, um, there is two things separated here. Isaac knew that Jacob was going to be the bearer, and he's going to bless Esau, but it's not the blessing that Rebecca thinks that he's going to get. Uh, when we see it, when you compare it, you will know that it's two kinds of blessings. Esau was supposed to get a material blessing, but the blessing that Jacob was supposed to receive was that blessing that Adonai Elohim had given to Abraham, passed it on to Isaac. Bereshit 27, 28, 29. Okay. May God give you of the dew of heaven and the fat of the earth, abundance of new grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow to you. Be master of your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow to you. Cursed be they who curse you. Bless they who bless you.
You're mute, Isaac. You went on mute. That's better.
At what point did I went mute?
Just a sentence ago.
Okay. So after the blessing, Jacob's Esau was supposed to receive a blessing, but it was a material blessing. That's going to be a personal blessing, I would say, from Isaac to Esau. But then Rebecca has to intervene and gave it to trick Isaac with the whole thing that it happened, so Jacob can receive the blessing. And it's not until later when Isaac is running away, and at the same time, no, when Jacob is running away, and at the same time, Isaac is sending Jacob to go away to find a wife, that he received the blessing from Abraham. Bereshit 28, 3-5. May El Shaddai bless you, make you fertile and numerous, so that you become an assembly of people. May he grant the blessing of Abraham to you and your offspring. That you may possess the land where you are sojourning, which God assigned to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob out, and he went to Padan Aram, to the Laban, the son of the 12, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. That's the blessing, that the main blessing, that the Abrahamic blessing that the bearer was supposed to receive. That's the one that God was talking about to Rebecca when he said the oldest will serve the youngest. That's the blessing that God gave to Abraham, that he was supposed to be alone. So I think no, okay, sorry, I want something else. So there are two blessings here, not just one, a material one and a spiritual one. Remember at the beginning I said that whenever I talk to people, we have these three things that are compounding in us: the body, the spirit, and the soul. So we cannot separate, and that's something that Rebecca saw, that in order for Jacob to succeed, he did not only need the spiritual blessing, he needed the material one. And that's when she intervened in robbing that blessing from Esau and giving it to Jacob. So Jacob will be a complete whole, receive the whole blessing and receive everything. In a way, this is the thing that we must pursue it. This is the way that we must see it. We have to pursue the spiritual blessings that it comes through a relationship with Adonai Elohim, all of us. When we have that spiritual blessing from God passed along to us, we can go ahead and try to get the blessing of the material one too. So both things go side by side. The other day I was talking to somebody at the company and he was asking, how can you say that Jewish people, they're all blessed in everything that they do? In every business they succeed and a lot of companies they're growing up and most of them they're Jewish. Is that because they have the blessing, the spiritual blessing from God. So God blessed them on the side too. So we could be us, we could be the result to the promise of God to Abraham, to Isaac and Jacob. At the same time, us, we are the bearers of those blessings that it was passed along through us. We are the shining star that God said that it's going to be derived from Abraham. But we have to remember that both blessings goes hand by hand. We cannot just pursue the material world and not think about God and not try to do what God has for us, our relationship with Him. I don't like to, usually I don't like to talk about the Messiah, but it is said the last time that Rabbi used to say that his only purpose was for that people or that moment to have a relationship with God, to bring him back. And that had not changed. Today haven't changed. Our main purpose is to have a relationship with God, so we can be the bearers of that promise. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.